You know, we tend to think of history as something permanent, right? Something carved in stone. But what if it's not? What if it's actually fading away, piece by piece, right under our noses? Well, today we're going on a kind of treasure hunt, a quest to find our lost history, from the pristine archives of Europe to the garbage dumps back home. And we're going to meet the digital saviors who are fighting to save our past. Okay, so, full confession time. That quote, that's me. I was that kid. I absolutely could not stand history in school. I mean, I was the one slouched in the back, just staring at the clock, waiting for the bell to ring. It just felt like this endless, boring list of dead kings and dates that had absolutely nothing to do with my life. Or so I thought. But then something happened that completely changed my mind, and it got me asking this very question. How does a piece of the past, one that's been ignored or broken or even shipped halfway across the world, how does it get a second chance to tell its story? Well, the answer involves a really embarrassing dinner, a 400-year-old letter made of gold, and a machine that looks a lot like a fancy iron box. My whole journey into this world, it didn't start in some grand museum or a dusty old library. Nope. It started with one single moment of pure red-faced embarrassment that totally flipped a switch in my brain. So this is it. This is the moment it all changed for me. About 15 years back, I'm at this client dinner in Finland, and a European client who, by the way, knew a ton about Indian history, he turns to me and casually asks about a king named Rajendra Chola. And I just froze. I had absolutely nothing, not one thing to say. And the shame, the shame of not knowing my own history when a stranger did, wow, that was the spark. That one embarrassing moment lit a fire in me that's never gone out. So that passion, it set me on this quest. And the first stop, funnily enough, wasn't in India. It was in Europe. Which is ironic, because that's where some of our most incredible historical treasures are not just sitting around, they're being perfectly, meticulously preserved. They're just far from home. Okay, so picture this. We're in Copenhagen, Denmark, and tucked away in their archives, they have this direct 400-year-old connection to Thanjavur in India. It's this absolutely stunning golden foil, a letter from the Tamil king Raghunatha Nayak to the Danish king Christian IV. It's a real, physical piece of a moment in time when these two completely different worlds first connected. And this just shows you the level of care these things get over there. The letter, written in ancient Tamil, it's still gleaming like it was made yesterday. And get this, the official treaty that came after, the one that set up a Danish trading post, it's not on paper. It's written on animal skin parchment, specifically so it would last for centuries. And it has. It's in near perfect shape. It's a testament to a history that we kind of lost track of, but they kept safe. All right, now let's hop over to the Netherlands, because the story here gets even bigger. Over at Leiden University, there's a treasure that's even older, the Anaimangalam Copper Plates. And this isn't just some document. It is a massive 21-plate declaration from the era of the great emperor Rajaraja Chola. And man, does it tell a story about incredible generosity. So, what was this big declaration all about? It was a land grant. But look at the sheer scale of it. Emperor Rajaraja Chola gave away 642 acres of land to build a Buddhist monastery. And it wasn't even for his own people. It was for a king from the other side of the Indian Ocean, from what we now call Indonesia. This was a huge deal. And if you're wondering what 642 acres of land means in practical terms, well, that's the estimated annual tax revenue from that land in today's money, every single year. So Rajaraja Chola didn't just give away a piece of dirt. He gave away a massive, ongoing source of income, all to support a religious center for traders from a whole other kingdom. And the only reason we know these exact details is because these plates were kept safe for 1,000 years in the Netherlands. Now, seeing these treasures so perfectly preserved abroad, it's amazing. It really is. But it forces you to ask a really difficult and, honestly, a pretty painful question. What in the world is happening to the history that's still back home? The contrast, it's staggering. It's just heartbreaking. I want you to just read that quote for a second. This is something a local man told a historian, casually, with no sense of shame at all, that he had literally dismantled a historic site, part of an ancient palace, to build his own house. And believe me, this is not just a one-off story. I mean, this kind of neglect is everywhere. An 8th century inscription found in a pile of garbage with dogs urinating on it. Beautiful temple paintings literally scrubbed off the walls during a cleaning.
Ancient pillars with royal inscriptions just chopped into 70 pieces by a contractor. Stones being put back upside down after a renovation. And people, carving their own names over 2,000-year-old script. We are actively, tragically erasing our own story.
So yeah, it's really easy to feel hopeless when you see that kind of destruction. But just as our history feels like it's on the brink of being lost forever, a new kind of rescue mission has started, one that uses technology to give our fading past a permanent future. This is historian Udaya Kumar, and he is leading this digital charge with a tool that he jokingly calls his fancy iron box. What it really is a high-resolution handheld 3D scanner, and it is a total game changer for preserving history. To really get why this is such a big deal, you have to look at the old way versus the new way. For 150 years, the only way to copy an inscription was something called estampage, which is basically making a paper rubbing of the stone. It's fragile, it fades, you only get one copy. But 3D scanning, that creates a permanent, perfect digital master copy. You can replicate it 1,000,000 times, share it all over the world, and it will never, ever decay. It's like the difference between an old photograph that fades in the sun and a digital file that lasts forever. And the precision, it's just mind-blowing. This scanner can capture tiny details on the surface of a stone at a resolution of 0.25 millimeters. Now, it's hard to even imagine how small that is, so let me put it this way. That's it. We're talking about the thickness of a single human hair. If there's a hair lying on that stone, the scanner will pick it up. That means every tiny chisel mark, every little weathered groove, every letter carved 1,000 years ago, it's all captured in perfect 3D detail. Forever. This tech doesn't just copy history, it makes it immortal. But numbers and tech specs are one thing. There's one story that perfectly captures the power of all this. It's the story of a forgotten hero whose monument went on an incredible journey from total neglect to global dignity. So this is Kitaya's Hero Stone. It is a 1,300-year-old monument to a man who literally gave his life to defend his town. In fact, he's believed to be the very first known warrior of Bangalore. A hugely important historical figure, right? Well, his monument wasn't in a museum. Just look at this incredible journey. Udaya Kumar's team found this sacred stone left for dead in a garbage dump. So first, they rescued it. Then, they saved it digitally with that 3D scanner, making that perfect digital copy. From that scan, they were able to 3D print 1,000 beautiful little brass miniatures. And today, those replicas are celebrated all over the world. They're sitting in people's homes, in offices, even in prayer rooms, from Bangalore all the way to New York. This quote from Udaya Kumar, it just says everything. Technology didn't just preserve a piece of rock. It restored dignity to a hero. It took a story that was literally thrown in the trash and gave it a place of honor in the hearts and homes of people all over the world. So what this all comes down to is this. Our history isn't really in the past. It's a living story, and we're all a part of it right now. We've seen how easily it can be lost when we don't care, but we've also seen how it can be saved with passion and technology. And that leaves us with one last thought. We've inherited this incredible, sprawling, beautiful story. The question is, what will our chapter look like? Are we going to be the ones who just let it all fade away, or the ones who make sure it gets told forever?